The Galactic Council Station was the largest structure Daniel Cole had ever seen. It hung in the darkness of space like a silver wheel, spinning slowly against the stars. Thousands of ships moved around it like insects around a hive. Inside, millions of beings from hundreds of worlds lived and worked together. And somewhere in that vast maze of metal and light, Daniel was supposed to find his way to a diplomatic meeting. He walked through the main corridor with Lisa Warren at his side. Lisa was his security attaché, though she preferred to call herself his bodyguard. She was a former soldier with sharp eyes and quick hands. Daniel trusted her with his life, which was good, because that was exactly what her job required. The corridor was wide enough for 20 people to walk side by side. Aliens of every shape and size filled the space. Some were tall and thin with too many arms. Others were short and round with no arms at all. Some floated. Some crawled. Some moved in ways that made Daniel's brain hurt if he looked too long. But one thing was the same everywhere he looked. Every alien traveled in groups. Never alone. Never even in pairs. Always 3 or more, and always with at least one armed guard among them. You notice that? Lisa asked quietly. Hard to miss, Daniel replied. A small creature hurried toward them. It was about waist height to Daniel, covered in soft blue fur, with large dark eyes that seemed too big for its face. It wore a simple uniform with the symbol of the council on its chest. Ambassador Cole. Attaché Warren, the creature said in a high, nervous voice. I am Marx. I have been assigned as your guide during your stay. Please, follow me. I will take you to your quarters. Daniel smiled at the little alien. Thank you, Marx. Lead the way. They followed Marx through the crowded corridors. As they walked, Daniel noticed something strange. Other aliens moved out of their way. Not rudely, not obviously, but there was a clear pattern. When Daniel and Lisa approached, the crowds would shift. Aliens would step aside or change direction. Some would stop talking and watch them pass with wide eyes. Morix, Daniel said, can I ask you something? Of course, Ambassador. Why does everyone here travel in groups? I have not seen a single alien walking alone. Morix's steps slowed for just a moment. It is the law, Ambassador. The protection protocols require all council species to travel in groups of 3 or more with armed escort. All council species, Lisa repeated. But not humans? Humans are exempt, Morix said. The little alien's voice had become very quiet. Why? Daniel asked. Morix did not answer right away. They turned a corner into a quieter hallway. Finally, the guide spoke again. I am not the right person to explain this, Ambassador. Perhaps you should ask one of the senior council members. I am asking you, Daniel said gently. Morix stopped walking. The alien turned to face them, and Daniel saw something in those large, dark eyes that surprised him. It was fear. Not the nervous kind of fear that came from meeting important visitors. This was deeper, older. Humans are different, Morix whispered. You are not like us. You do not need protection the way we do. That is all I can say. Before Daniel could ask more questions, a tall figure stepped out of a doorway ahead of them. It was an insectoid creature, standing nearly 7 feet tall on 4 thin legs. Its body was covered in dark green armor that looked natural rather than worn. 2 large compound eyes studied Daniel with an intensity that made him feel like a specimen under a microscope. Ambassador Cole, the creature said. Its voice was a dry clicking sound that somehow formed perfect words. I am Councillor Vethre of the Kethalan people. I have wanted to meet you for some time. Daniel offered his hand, a human greeting that most aliens found strange but tolerated. Vethre looked at the hand for a long moment before reaching out with one of its upper limbs. The grip was light, careful, as if the counselor was afraid of breaking him. I am honored to meet you, Counselor, Daniel said. You walk with only one companion, Vethray observed. No weapons visible. No protective field. You move through this station as if you own it. We are just trying to find our quarters, Lisa said. Vethray made a sound that might have been a laugh. You misunderstand me, human. I am not criticizing. I am admiring. The counselor leaned closer, and Daniel forced himself not to step back. Do you know why your kind is allowed to walk alone in this place? Morix was just trying to explain that, Daniel said. Morix cannot explain it. Morix does not truly understand it. Neither do most members of this council. Vethray's compound eyes seemed to look right through Daniel. But I am old. I have studied your species since you first reached the stars. I know what you are. And what are we? Lisa asked. Vethray was silent for a moment. When the counselor spoke again, the words were slow and heavy with meaning. You are the only ones who walk as predators do. The counselor turned and began to move away, legs clicking against the metal floor. Wait, Daniel called out. What does that mean? Vethray stopped but did not turn around. It means that in a galaxy full of prey, your species learn to hunt. It means that the things which make other species freeze in terror are the same things that make humans fight harder. It means that when the darkness comes, every species in this station will hide behind locked doors and pray for safety. The counselor's head turned slightly, one compound eye catching the light. Except for you. You will walk into the darkness and ask it why it dared to come. Then Vethray was gone, disappearing around a corner. Daniel stood in the quiet hallway, Lisa beside him, Morix trembling at his feet. The words hung in the air like smoke. Well, Lisa said after a long moment, that was not creepy at all. Daniel did not laugh. He was thinking about the fear in Morix's eyes. He was thinking about how the crowds parted when they walked. He was thinking about Vethray's words, predators. Humans walked as predators do. There was a story here. A history that no one wanted to tell them. And Daniel Cole was going to find out what it was. Come on, he said to Morix. Let us go to our quarters. Then I need you to tell me how to access the council archives. Morix looked up at him with those huge, frightened eyes. Ambassador, I do not think that is a good idea. Daniel smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Probably not. Show me anyway. The archives were located in the oldest part of the station. Daniel had to pass through 3 security checkpoints to reach them, and at each one, the guards looked at him like he was walking into a fire. But his diplomatic clearance was valid, and no one tried to stop him. Commander Nathan Price met him at the final door. Nathan was a human military officer stationed at the council. A tall man with gray at his temples, and the calm eyes of someone who had seen too much to be surprised by anything. Ambassador? Nathan said with a nod. Lisa told me you were coming. She wanted to come with you, but I convinced her that someone should watch your quarters. You are making the locals nervous. I seem to do that just by breathing, Daniel replied. Thank you for the security clearance. Just doing my job. Nathan opened the door. The archivist is waiting for you. Try not to upset them. They are older than some of the stars in this sector. Daniel stepped through the door and into another world. The archives were not what he had expected. There were no computers, no screens, no modern technology at all. Instead, the room was filled with light. Soft, golden light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. In that light floated thousands upon thousands of crystals, each one glowing with its own inner fire. They moved slowly through the air like fish swimming through water. Each crystal contains a memory, said a voice. Daniel turned to see the archivist. It was a creature unlike anything he had encountered before. The archivist was tall and thin, wrapped in robes that seemed to be made of shadow. Its face was smooth and featureless, except for two closed eyes that had long since stopped working. "I am Quell," the archivist said. "I have served the Council for 300 of your years. In that time, only 4 humans have visited this place. You are the 5th. I am honored," Daniel said. "You should not be." The other 4 came seeking weapons, knowledge to use against their enemies. Quell moved closer, blind eye somehow fixed on Daniel's face. "What do you seek?" "Answers," Daniel said. "I want to know why humans are allowed to walk alone. I want to know about the protection protocols. I want to know what happened that made every species in this galaxy afraid." Quell was silent for a long moment. Then the archivist made a sound that might have been a sigh. "You seek the memories of the wandering years, the dark time." Quell raised one thin hand, and a cluster of crystals floated down from above. They were darker than the others, their light tinged with red. "Very well. But I warn you, Ambassador, some knowledge is a burden. Once you know, you cannot forget." Daniel took a deep breath. "Show me." Quell touched one of the dark crystals, and the world dissolved into light. Daniel saw a galaxy at war. Not a war of armies and fleets, but a war of hunters and prey. He saw a species called the Vorn, creatures of shadow and blade, moving through space like wolves through a forest. The Vorn did not conquer worlds. They did not want territory or resources. They wanted only one thing: the hunt. The Vorn had come from somewhere beyond the known stars. No one knew where. No one knew why. They simply appeared one day and began to kill. They targeted isolated individuals, lone travelers, anyone foolish enough to move without protection. They killed not for food or survival, but for pleasure. The terror of their prey was their reward. The memories showed Daniel what the Vorn had done to the galaxy. Species that had once traveled freely now huddled in groups. Worlds that had been open and welcoming built walls and armed guards. The protection protocols were born not from caution but from desperation. If you traveled in groups, the Vorn might not attack. If you had armed guards, you might survive long enough to run. For 200 years, the Vorn hunted. For 200 years, the galaxy lived in fear. Then the humans arrived. Daniel saw the first contact between humans and Vorn, a small human colony on the edge of explored space. The Vorn came expecting easy prey. They found something else entirely. The memory showed him a woman named Carol Martinez. She was a farmer, nothing more. She had no military training, no weapons, no protection. When the Vorn came, they killed her husband and her 2 children. They expected her to run. They expected her to hide. They expected her to break. Instead, Carol Martinez picked up a farming tool and killed 3 Vorn hunters before they brought her down. The Vorn had never seen anything like it. Their reports, recovered later by Council forces, described humans in terms of confusion and fear, unpredictable, vengeful, possessing an inexplicable resistance to psychological collapse. They did not understand, Quell said. And Daniel was back in the archives, gasping for breath. The Vorn had hunted 1,000 species. All of them ran. All of them hid. All of them broke when faced with enough terror. But humans, the archivist paused. Humans became more dangerous when they were afraid. Humans did not freeze. Humans fought. And when humans could not win, they made sure that winning would cost the Vorn more than they were willing to pay. What happened to the Vorn? Daniel asked. They were contained. Not defeated, for the Vorn cannot truly be defeated. But they were pushed back, trapped in a region of space far from Council territory. The Council built barriers, set guards, prayed that the barriers would hold. Daniel felt cold. And have they? Held, I mean. Quell did not answer right away. When the archivist spoke again, The words were heavy with something that sounded like grief. "No, Ambassador. They have not." The crystals around them flickered, and Daniel saw new images. Recent images. Council ships destroyed at the edge of monitored space. Distress signals that ended in screams. Reports of shadows moving through the dark places between stars. "The Vorn are coming back," Daniel said. "Yes. Does the Council know?" "Some do. The High Chancellor knows. The senior counselors know. They have known for some time." Quell's blind eyes seemed to look right through Daniel. "That is why you are really here, Ambassador. Not for diplomatic meetings. Not for trade negotiations. You are here because the Council is afraid, and when the galaxy is afraid, it looks for predators to protect it." Daniel thought about Vethra's words. "You are the only ones who walk as predators do. The Council fears us almost as much as it fears the Vorn," Daniel said. "Yes," Quell admitted, "but they fear the Vorn more." For now, the Archivist moved away, robes trailing through the golden light. "Go, Ambassador. Tell your people what you have learned. Prepare them for what is coming. And when the darkness returns, do what humans have always done." "What is that?" Daniel asked. Quell stopped at the door, one thin hand resting on the frame. "Walk into it. Fight it. Make it regret the day it ever heard the name of your species." Daniel left the archives with a weight on his shoulders that he had not carried when he entered. Outside, Nathan Price was waiting for him. "You look like you have seen a ghost," Nathan said. "Worse," Daniel replied. "I have seen the future. Get me a secure channel to Admiral Holloway. We need to talk about the Vorn." Nathan's face went pale. "You know about them." "I know enough. And if what I just learned is true, we do not have much time." The warning came 3 days later. Daniel was in a meeting with trade officials when every screen in the room went dark. For a moment, there was only silence. Then a new image appeared, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop by 10 degrees. The Vorn did not look like any species Daniel had ever seen. They were tall and thin, with bodies that seemed to shift and blur at the edges like living shadows. Their faces were long and narrow, with too many teeth and eyes that glowed like dying embers. Looking at them made something old and primitive in Daniel's brain want to run. The creature on the screen spoke, and its voice was like breaking glass. "Children of the light, prey of the endless hunt. We have been gone for many of your generations. We have been patient. We have been waiting. But now our chains have broken, and we are hungry again." Around the room, aliens began to panic. Some screamed. Some tried to run. Some simply froze, their bodies locked in place by terror too deep for thought. "The hunt begins again," the Vorn said. "Hide if you wish. Run if you can. It will only make the game sweeter. We are coming." The screen went dark. Daniel found Lisa waiting for him outside the meeting room. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. "You saw it?" she asked. "I saw it." "Where is the High Chancellor?" "Emergency session. Grand Council chamber. Every species is demanding answers." Lisa fell into step beside him as they moved through the crowded corridors. "I have never seen anything like this, Daniel. They are terrified. Not just scared, terrified. Some of them cannot even move." Daniel understood. He had felt it too, that primal urge to freeze when the Vorn appeared on screen. But he had pushed through it. That was what humans did. They felt the fear and kept moving anyway. The Grand Council chamber was the largest room on the station. It was built like a theater, with rings of seats rising up around a central platform. Thousands of diplomats and officials filled those seats now, and the noise of their fear filled the air like thunder. On the central platform stood High Chancellor Ithris. The leader of the council was a luminari, a species made of living light. Ithris had no solid body, only a glowing form that shifted and flowed like water. Normally, the Chancellor's light was warm and golden. Today, it was pale and flickering. Silence. Ithris commanded, and the voice echoed through the chamber. Silence, please. I know you are afraid. I am afraid too. But we must speak calmly if we are to survive this. The noise died down, though Daniel could still hear quiet sobbing from somewhere in the crowd. The Vorn have escaped their containment, Ithris said. We do not know how. We do not know when. But the barriers we built 200 years ago are no longer holding. The Vorn are free, and they are coming for us. A Cathalan diplomat stood up, waving its upper limbs frantically. How could this happen? We were told the barriers would hold for 1,000 years. We were wrong, Ithris said simply. We underestimated them. We always have. Then what do we do? Someone shouted. The Council fleet is not built for war. Our soldiers are guards, not fighters. We cannot face the Vorn in battle. The Chancellor's light flickered again. That is why I have asked the humans to join this session. Every eye in the chamber turned to Daniel. He felt the weight of their attention like a physical force. Some of those eyes held hope. Others held fear. Some held both at the same time. Admiral Grace Holloway stepped onto the platform beside Chancellor Ithris. Grace was a small woman with silver hair and a spine made of steel. She had commanded human ships for 30 years, and she had never lost a battle. The human fleet is prepared to assist in any way we can, Grace said. Her voice was calm and clear. We have 3 cruisers and 12 support ships currently stationed in Council space. It is not much, but it is a start. 3 cruisers? The Cathalan diplomat said. Against the Vorn? That is not a defense. That is a sacrifice. Every defense starts somewhere, Grace replied. And more ships are on the way. Earth has already dispatched a full battle group. The chamber erupted into noise again. Some species were grateful. Others were suspicious. Daniel heard one voice cutting through the chaos. How do we know the humans will not turn on us once the Vorn are defeated? They are predators too. Everyone knows this. Councilor Vethry stood up from the Cathalan section. I have studied humans for decades. Yes, they are predators. Yes, they are dangerous. But they are not like the Vorn. The old councilor's compound eyes swept across the chamber. The Vorn hunt for pleasure. They enjoy our fear. Our pain feeds them. But humans? Vethry turned to look at Daniel. Humans fight to protect. They are dangerous because they care, not because they are cruel. Before anyone could respond, the screens around the chamber flickered to life again. The Vorn leader appeared, and this time its ember eyes seemed to look directly at Daniel. We see you, humans, the Vorn said. We remember your kind. The broken creatures who fight when they should flee. The mad ones who do not know when they have lost. The creature made a sound that might have been a laugh. We warned the Council against involving your species. Humans are unpredictable. They do not follow the rules of the hunt. They do not understand that prey should accept its fate. Maybe that is because we are not prey, Lisa said from her position near the back of the chamber. The Vorn's eyes seemed to narrow. We shall see, little predator. We shall see. The screen went dark. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then High Chancellor Ithris turned to face the assembled diplomats. We must vote, the Chancellor said. Do we accept human assistance in defending against the Vorn? The vote was not unanimous. Some species abstained, too afraid of both options to choose. But in the end, the decision was clear. The Council would fight, and humans would lead the way. After the session ended, Daniel found himself standing at a window, looking out at the stars. Lisa joined him, and for a moment, they just stood in silence. They are still afraid of us, Lisa said. They should be, Daniel replied. But right now, They are more afraid of the Vorn, and that means we have a chance to show them what we really are. And what is that? Daniel thought about Carol Martinez, the farmer who killed 3 hunters with a farming tool. He thought about all the humans who had faced darkness and refused to run. We are the ones who walk into the fire, he said, and we do not stop until the fire goes out. An alarm began to sound throughout the station. A calm voice spoke over the speakers. Attention all personnel. Vorn hunting party detected approaching outer ring. This is not a drill. All non-combat personnel should proceed to safe zones immediately. Daniel looked at Lisa. Lisa looked at Daniel. Well, Lisa said, I guess it is time to show them. They walked toward the danger together, side by side, while everyone else ran the other way. The outer ring of the station was dark. Emergency lighting cast red shadows on the walls, making everything look like it was painted in blood. Daniel moved through the corridors with Lisa at his side and a weapon in his hand. Behind them came a small group of human volunteers, 2 Marines, a doctor, and a mechanic named Kevin Brooks. Kevin was not a soldier. He worked in the station's maintenance section, fixing broken systems and keeping the lights on. But when the call went out for volunteers, he had been the first to respond. You do not have to be here, Daniel had told him. Neither do you, Kevin had replied. But here we are. The station's security forces had tried to stop the Vorn at the breach point. They had failed. Daniel's team found the remains of that failure as they moved deeper into the outer ring. Bodies of council guards lay scattered across the floor. Some had been killed quickly. Others had not been so lucky. They wanted them to scream, Lisa said quietly. They wanted the others to hear. The Vorn hunt through fear, Daniel agreed. If they can make everyone too scared to fight, they do not have to fight at all. A sound came from somewhere ahead. A clicking, scratching noise like claws on metal. Then a voice, soft and terrible. We can smell you humans. Your fear is different from the others, sharper, more interesting. A shape moved in the darkness. We wondered if your kind would come. The broken ones. The mad ones. We are glad you did. Daniel raised his weapon. Come out where we can see you. Laughter echoed through the corridor. Then 3 shapes emerged from the shadows. The Vorn were even more terrifying in person than they had been on screen. They were tall, nearly 8 feet, with bodies that seemed to twist and flow like smoke given form. Their limbs ended in curved blades that looked sharp enough to cut through steel. Their ember eyes glowed in the darkness. Only 6 of you, the lead Vorn said, and only 2 real warriors. The others smell like workers, healers. The creature's mouth split into something that might have been a smile. Easy prey. And why are you not attacking? Lisa asked. The Vorn's smile faltered. Daniel understood. He had felt it the moment the creatures appeared. Yes, he was afraid. His heart was pounding. His hands wanted to shake. Every instinct in his body was screaming at him to run. But he was not running. None of them were. You are used to prey that freezes, Daniel said. Prey that panics. Prey that makes mistakes because they cannot think through the terror. He took a step forward, and the Vorn actually took a step back. But we are not prey. We are human. And humans do not freeze. Everyone freezes, the Vorn leader hissed. Everyone breaks. We do not. Lisa moved up beside Daniel. We evolved as persistence hunters. For millions of years, our ancestors chased prey across open plains. Not because we were faster, not because we were stronger, but because we never stopped. We kept walking while everything else collapsed from exhaustion. She smiled, and there was nothing friendly in it. You want to know why humans are different? It is because we are built to keep going when everything inside us says to quit. The Vorn leader snarled and lunged. The fight was brutal. The Vorn were faster than humans, stronger than humans, and their blade limbs could cut through armor like paper. But Daniel's team did not fight alone, and they did not fight fair. Lisa took the first Vorn low, rolling under its attack and coming up behind it. Her shots hit its legs, and the creature stumbled. The two Marines hit it together, their weapons firing on full automatic. Kevin and the doctor dragged a wounded Marine behind cover while Daniel faced the second Vorn. The creature was playing with him, he realized. Testing him. Trying to make him panic. He refused. "You are strange," the Vorn said as they circled each other. "I can taste your fear. I know you want to run. But you stand and fight. Why?" "Because there are people behind me," Daniel said. "People who cannot fight. People who will die if I run. Let them die. Save yourself. That is the natural way. Maybe for you." Daniel fired, and the Vorn dodged. But not for us. The battle moved through the corridors. The third Vorn had broken away from the fight, heading deeper into the station. Kevin saw it go. "It is heading for the safe zones," he said. "That is where the civilians are hiding." Daniel was locked in combat with the second Vorn. Lisa was helping the Marines finish the first. There was no one else. Kevin looked at the weapon in his hands. He was not a soldier. He was a mechanic. He fixed broken things. He started running after the third Vorn. Daniel saw him go, but could not follow. The second Vorn was pressing him hard, and he could not break away. All he could do was fight and hope. Kevin caught up with the Vorn, just outside the safe zone doors. The creature was trying to cut through the lock. Inside, Daniel knew, were hundreds of civilians. Aliens who could not fight. Children who could not run. "Hey!" Kevin shouted. The Vorn turned. Its ember eyes glowed with hunger. "Another one?" It laughed. "You do not even smell like a warrior. You smell like oil and machine grease. What do you think you can do?" "I think I can keep you busy," Kevin said. He raised his weapon and fired. The Vorn was on him in seconds. Kevin was not fast enough to dodge, not strong enough to block. The blade limb caught him across the chest, and he fell. But he had bought time. Precious seconds. Enough for Lisa to arrive. Lisa hit the Vorn from behind with everything she had. The creature screamed as her shots found weak points in its body. It turned to face her, and Kevin, bleeding on the floor, grabbed its leg and held on. "Get off me!" The Vorn shrieked. "No," Kevin whispered through bloody lips. Lisa's final shot took the Vorn in the head. Back in the main corridor, Daniel was still fighting. The second Vorn had wounded him badly. His left arm was not working right, and he was losing blood. But he was still standing, still fighting. The Vorn leader stared at him with something that might have been confusion. "Why do you not fall?" it demanded. "Why do you not beg for mercy?" "Because that is not who we are," Daniel said. "You picked the wrong species to hunt." He lunged. The Vorn was faster, but Daniel did not care about speed anymore. He cared about reach. He cared about angle. He cared about making sure that when he died, he took this monster with him. His blade found the Vorn's throat. The creature collapsed, still staring at Daniel with those ember eyes. Still confused. Still not understanding. "We are not broken," Daniel told it. "We are not mad. We are just human. And humans do not know how to quit." The Vorn died without understanding. Daniel found Kevin near the safe zone doors. Lisa was there, pressing her hands against his wounds, but they both knew it was too late. "Did I do okay?" Kevin asked. His voice was barely a whisper. "You did great," Daniel said. "You saved everyone in there." Kevin smiled. Blood stained his teeth. "Good, that is good." He looked up at the ceiling, at nothing in particular. "I am just a mechanic. I never thought I would be a hero." "You were always a hero," Lisa said. "You just needed a chance to prove it." Kevin closed his eyes and did not open them again. Daniel knelt beside the body of a man who had been a mechanic, nothing more, and had died saving hundreds of lives. This was what humans were. This was what the Vorn did not understand. Humans did not fight because they were not afraid. They fought because there were things more important than fear, things worth dying for. The all-clear signal sounded through the station. The hunt was over, but Daniel knew this was just the beginning. 3 months had passed since the battle on the station. In that time, everything had changed. The Vorn invasion fleet had come, just as Daniel had feared. 50 ships, dark and terrible, moving through space like sharks through water. The Council had prepared as best they could, gathering every ship from every species into a single armada. But everyone knew the truth. Most of those ships were not built for war. Most of their crews had never faced real combat. When the Vorn arrived, the fleet would break, except it did not. The human battle group arrived 3 days before the Vorn. 12 warships. Small compared to the Council fleet, but different in every way that mattered. Human ships were ugly, practical, though for one purpose only, to fight and win. Admiral Grace Holloway took command of the defense. She did not ask permission. She did not wait for votes. She simply started giving orders, and somehow everyone obeyed. Even species that had never trusted humans found themselves following her commands. "You will stay behind the human line," she told the Council captains. "Your job is to hit them from range. Our job is to get close." "Get close?" A Cathalan captain asked. "To Vorn ships? That is suicide." "For you, maybe?" Grace replied. "Not for us." When the battle came, Daniel watched from the station's observation deck. He had wanted to be out there, fighting beside the fleet, but his wounds from the hunt were still healing. Lisa stood beside him, her arm in a sling from her own injuries. The Vorn fleet came out of darkness like nightmares given form. Their ships were wrong somehow. Looking at them made Daniel's eyes hurt. They moved in patterns that seemed to break the rules of physics, and their weapons filled space with fire that burned in colors that should not exist. The Council ships held the line barely. They fired from distance, pouring everything they had into the advancing enemy. But the Vorn shields absorbed most of the damage. They kept coming. Then the human ships attacked. They did not stay at range. They did not hide behind defensive lines. They drove straight into the heart of the Vorn fleet, weapons blazing, armor burning. Crews screaming battle cries that echoed across every communication channel. Daniel watched. Admiral Holloway's cruiser rammed directly into a Vorn destroyer. The two ships locked together, grinding metal against metal, and then human boarding parties poured out. They fought the Vorn in the corridors of their own ship. Hand to hand, blade to blade, one by one, the Vorn ships began to fall. Not because the humans had better weapons, not because they had more ships, but because humans were willing to pay a price that no other species would pay. Because humans looked at death and said, "Not today." By the end, only 3 Vorn ships escaped. The rest were debris, floating in the void. The Council fleet had suffered losses too, but they had survived. They had won. That was 3 months ago. Today, Daniel stood in the Grand Council chamber once again. But this time, it was not for an emergency session. It was for a ceremony. High Chancellor Ithris floated on the central platform, glowing brighter than Daniel had ever seen. The seats around the chamber were full, and for the first time, there was no fear in the air. Only something that felt like wonder. "We gather today to honor the defenders of our civilization," Ithris said. "To remember those who gave their lives so that we might live. And to answer a question that many of you have asked since humanity joined our council." The Chancellor turned to face Daniel and the small group of humans standing beside him. Admiral Holloway was there, her uniform decorated with medals from a dozen worlds. Commander Nathan Price stood at attention. Lisa stood straight despite her still healing injuries. Many of you have wondered why humans are allowed to walk alone within this station, Ithris continued. Why they are exempt from the protection protocols that govern every other species. Today, I will explain. The chamber was silent. Every eye focused on the Chancellor. The protection protocols exist because most species in this galaxy evolved as prey. When faced with danger, their instincts tell them to hide, to run, to freeze. These are good instincts. They have kept countless species alive for millions of years. But they are also weaknesses that predators like the Vorn can exploit. Ithris moved closer to the humans. Humans are different. They evolved as predators. When faced with danger, their instincts tell them to fight, to pursue, to never give up. This makes them dangerous, yes, but it also makes them protectors. The Chancellor's light seemed to wrap around the group of humans like a warm embrace. We allow humans to walk alone for two reasons. First, because they have earned our trust. They have fought for us, bled for us, died for us. Not for payment, not for power, but because it was the right thing to do. Daniel thought of Kevin Brooks, a mechanic who died saving children he had never met. Second, Ithris said, we allow humans to walk alone because no escort could ever keep up with them. When darkness comes, humans do not wait for protection. They become the protection. They walk into the fire so that others do not have to. Admiral Holloway stepped forward to accept a medal from the Chancellor. Nathan Price was next. Then Lisa. Then others, one by one. Humans who had fought and bled and won. After the ceremony, Daniel found himself standing with CouncilHFY near the back of the chamber. The old Cathalan watched the celebrations with compound eyes that seemed sadder than before. I must confess something to you, Ambassador, Vethray said quietly. When humans first joined the Council, many of us were terrified. We thought you would become the next Vorn, another predator species that would hunt us for sport. What changed your mind? Daniel asked. Kevin Brooks. Daniel felt his heart clench at the name. A mechanic, Vethray continued. Not a soldier, not a warrior, just a man who fixed broken machines. He had no duty to fight. No obligation to sacrifice himself. But when he saw our children in danger, he did not hesitate. The Councilor's voice grew thick with emotion. The Vorn would never do such a thing. They would never die for someone else's children. They hunt for pleasure. They kill for joy. But humans fight for love. Vethray turned to face Daniel fully. That is the difference, Ambassador. That is why we trust you. Not because you are strong. Not because you are brave. But because when you fight for us. All of us. Even the species that fear you. Even the ones who do not deserve your protection. Daniel did not know what to say. He just nodded. Later that evening, Daniel and Lisa walked through the station together. The corridors were full of people. Aliens of every shape and size, celebrating the victory. But something was different now. The crowds did not part when they approached. The aliens did not watch them with fear. Instead, they nodded. They smiled. Some even waved. I think they like us now, Lisa said. I think they understand us now, Daniel replied. That is better. They stopped near a viewing window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the remaining Vorn were hiding, planning, preparing for the day when they would return. But that was a problem for another time. Right now, there was peace. A small sound made Daniel turn. A young Palian was standing behind them, barely waist-height, with large dark eyes that reminded him of Morix. The child was alone. Hello, Daniel said gently. Are you lost? The child shook its head. Then, slowly, it reached up and took Lisa's hand. Lisa froze. She looked down at the tiny alien, then at Daniel, then back at the child. "What are you doing?" she asked softly. "Walking with you," the child said. Its voice was small but clear. "I want to be brave like the humans. I want to walk alone." "You are not alone," Lisa said. She squeezed the small hand gently. "You are with us." The child smiled, and together, the three of them walked through the station. A human woman, a human man, and the first alien in galactic history who had chosen to walk without an escort. Behind them, other aliens watched. Some with confusion, some with worry, but many with something new in their eyes. Something that had not existed in this galaxy for a very long time. Hope. Daniel looked at Lisa over the child's head. She looked back at him. "We changed something today," she said quietly. "Maybe," Daniel agreed. "Or maybe we just reminded them of something they forgot." "What is that?" Daniel watched as more aliens began to break away from their groups. Slowly, uncertainly, but moving, learning, choosing to be brave. "That fear does not have to win," he said. "That you can choose to be something more." They walked on into the light, and the darkness did not follow.